Thanks very much, Natasha. Let's focus now on one simple question. 17 years later, and after all the brouhaha in Parliament, all the fuss and the fury, what does the Liberhan Commission really amount to? Is it going to deliver justice in any meaningful way? Well, first, let's take a look at the government's action taken report based on the recommendations of Justice Liberhan. Take a look at this. There is going to be no punitive action against anybody. Nobody. Despite whatever condemnation and indictment that Justice Liberhan may have found against a host of BJP leaders and the RSS, the action taken report does not talk about punitive action, actually, nor does the Liberhan Commission's own recommendations. There are not going to be any fresh charges against anybody as well. Does that mean that Justice Liberhan was unable to come up with anything new? Did he say anything new at all that all of us have not known for these 17 years? Yes, there is some academic talk about a new bill, talk that we've been hearing actually for the last few years. The ATR talks about a communal violence bill, a new bill to check the misuse of religion for political gain. Is that just yet another platitude that doesn't end up meaning anything very specific? Further, the action taken report talks about steps will be taken to expedite Babri demolition cases. Imagine 17 years later, we're still talking about expediting cases that are being heard about the Babri demolition. And finally, the action taken report talks about looking into the setting up of a special criminal justice commission. As somebody who's accessed the report as early as yesterday, I can also tell you that Justice Liberhan's own recommendations did not really leave the government much room to make or draw further conclusions than the ones that they've drawn. All right, let's take a look, of course, as more details emerge. Remember, we brought you the contents of the Justice Liberhan Commission report as early as yesterday, but more details are emerging about what Justice Liberhan has to say. He actually divides culpability into three different layers. First, he blames the RSS. The RSS, the Justice Liberhan Commission report calls the author of the entire movement and thus the author of the demolition. And he divides up people into three different groups, three different layers of culpability. This is quite interesting. The first group he calls the radicals. These include Kalyan Singh, Vinay Katiyar, Govindacharya. On these he places the primary and the greatest responsibility. The second group, according to Justice Liberhan, is called the pseudo-moderates. This is damning because in this he includes Atal Bihari Vajpayee, L.K. Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi. He believes that these pseudo-moderates, as he calls them, were responsible in a physical, ideological and intellectual responsibility is what he parks at their door, saying that given that the RSS was calling the shots, these people were not empowered to question or defy the diktat of the RSS. But he does say, and this is the operative part, it cannot be assumed even for a moment that Advani, Vajpayee or Joshi did not know the larger designs of the Sangh Parivar. They were party to all decisions that had been taken. And finally, the third group includes government officials and police officers who may have had affiliations to the Sangh Parivar or who may not have had affiliations but failed to do their duty. This is the third group. He says it was their sworn and statutory duty to prevent the demolition. They failed at this. And finally, of course, is that contentious list of 68 different people whom Liberhan holds guilty of taking the country to the brink of communal discord. This, of course, controversially includes at number 7, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It also includes L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi, Balasaheb Thackeray, Uma Bharti, Kalyan Singh, and interestingly for the Congress, Shankar Singh Waghela, who since switched sides and is now with the Congress.
Tuba.com